Harbor, like an iceberg, is 4/5 underwater. And underwater is where the trouble usually lies. In construction in the first place, and later in repairs as time and the sea take their toll. The day started with the same two routine jobs ahead of me. One, checking the harbor damage. Two, teaching my new assistant about it as we went along. But the routine ended abruptly when we broke for lunch. I had no idea that within 24 hours, I was going to be 1,000 miles from home and 300 feet underneath the sea. And not because I wanted to. There's a funny thing about trouble. You can always feel it coming.
Nelson? I'm Steve McKay. They told me up at Marineland I'd find you here.
How are you?
I'm an underwater salvage. This is my partner, Ed Romer.
Glad to meet you, Mr. Nelson.
Mr. Riker.
Mr. Riker?
Mr. McKay?
Over.
Mr. Nelson, we got a business proposition to put up to you. You got a minute?
No, I'm sorry. I wouldn't be able to handle another job right now.
Oh, this isn't just another job, Mr. Nelson.
Just another man won't do. We got to have a man that can dive deep.
That an air hose. We're bucking a strong current, Mr. Nelson. A hard hat diver can't hold bottom. It's got to be a man with a lung on his back.
A good man. Our bottom is about 300 feet, maybe a little bit more. Ed here doesn't dive at all. My limit's 150 feet.
I'm sorry.
We'll pay you $5,000 for 3, maybe 4 days' work at the outside, no matter what we come up with.
What are you after?
A sure thing. I've been working salvage for 16 years, Mr. Nelson. Everything from hull scraping to dredging, you name it. I'm no Johnny-come-lately.
What's your point?
My point is that I know underwater salvage like I know the back of my own hand. I know the jobs to take and the jobs to leave alone. I learned the hard way to pass up sunken treasure, pirates' gold. Those pieces of 8 are never there. But this one I don't pass.
You mean you're going after gold?
Salvage. The safe in the captain's cabin of a ship at the bottom of the sea. The name of the ship is the Santa Felicia. She went down May 28th, 1920, off the coast of La Cruz. It's a little town in Mexico, about halfway down the coast, on the Pacific side. We're going after gold dust, Mr. Nelson. $100,000 worth.
Good luck.
Make that $5,000 I offered you a bottom figure, a guarantee. The top, 20% of what we come up with.
No thanks.
Our salvage boat's a UR-7. The best there is.
No, I know. I saw her this morning when you anchored. It's a Dolphin, isn't it?
You sound like you've heard of her before.
I have.
I hope we haven't taken up too much of your time, Mr. Nelson.
No, Mr. McKay.
Goodbye. Goodbye, Mr. Riker.
Wow. I don't get it, Mike. Didn't you want that job?
No, and for a good reason. A buddy of mine once dove for McKay up in Alaska, and he... I'd rather not talk about it, Billy, don't I?
Of course not. I was just wondering.
Hey, how come you got all dressed up?
Well, I thought I'd go in town for lunch today.
Ready?
Nobody else. I'll see you, Mike.
Now, you'll be back in an hour now. Don't get sidetracked.
All right.
Billy was late getting back, but I went to work without him, on the theory that you're entitled to a few extra minutes when you're taking a girl to lunch. I had no way of knowing that Billy had something far different in mind, something he didn't want me to know about, something that was worth a quarter-mile swim out to the Dolphin. accomplish there, I was to learn several hours later when, after completing the day's work, I came back up to the surface. By this time, I was good and worried about Billy's absence. It wasn't like him to goof off.
Mike, Billy took that job you turned down in Mexico.
Oh, so that's what he's been up to, huh?
Look, they're going now. He talked to them on their boat this afternoon. Then he came to see me. He said you didn't want to take the job.
Did he tell you I had a reason?
Yes, we argued about it. I said he shouldn't go unless you did. And he said that he was doing it for us, that we'd be able to get married and have our own home with the money that he'd get from the job. Oh, Mike, I'm so afraid for him.
Take it easy. Take it easy. We'll do something.
What, Mike?
Something.
La Cruz is a sleepy little fishing town, fringed with palms and lapped by the Pacific. But the crew of the Dolphin wasn't really interested in the town.
Well, Billy boy, treasure of the Santa Felicia should only be about a mile away from us now.
Well, I'm ready. Why don't we start?
Take it easy, Billy. We'll start in the morning. Let's get into La Cruz and get those supplies while the stores are still open.
Buenos dias, senores. Welcome to La Cruz.
What are you doing here? I thought you didn't like our proposition.
Well, I had a change of heart.
How'd you know we were in La Cruz?
You told me, remember? Much faster by plane.
You went to a lot of trouble and expense.
Less than $500. What's that as against 1/2 of 20% of $100,000?
We don't need you.
Yes, we do, for insurance. 2 deep divers are better than 1. You don't mind, Billy.
Well, of course not. It's great. Mike, I'm sorry I walked out on you the way I did. No notice or anything. I just thought it was a good idea to...
No crime in being young and ambitious. Is there, Mr. McKay?
No crime at all. Get your gear, Nelson.
Oh, wait a second, Mike. I'll give you a hand.
Don't say it, Ed. I know what I'm doing. I don't care what Nelson's reasons are for coming down here. Till we get what we're after, we need him. To get what we're after. Information boils down to this. After a month of questioning everyone we could find who actually saw the Santa Felicia go down, we came up with 2 witnesses, each of them pretty reliable, and each of them a good distance apart, who had something definite to say about where the boat sank. Now, the lighthouse keeper here at Point A took a bearing at the time, and he said it was almost directly north-northeast. Actually, it was 24 degrees. Now, over here at this Point B, there was a fisherman mending his nets, and he said he saw the ship go down, and it was in a direct line with some rocks off the end of this spit of land. And we shot an azimuth from this point right along this line. It's almost directly northwest. Actually, it's 313 degrees. Now, when we start searching, we'll ride out along this line. We'll have a man here at Point A on a theodolite. That'll be Ed up there. And he'll keep us on this north-northeast course, this 24-degree course. And over here at Point B, we'll have another man on a theodolite. That'll be you, Billy. And he'll be shooting along this 313-degree line. And when we ride into your sights, we'll be at the point of intersection. We put out a marker, boy, we're in business. We start diving.
Sounds easy enough.
Well, don't let this diagram fool you, Billy. This is only the center of the search area.
Well, how far out does the search area extend?
To the Santa Felicia.
By noon the next day, the Dolphin was underway. Romer, sighting through the theodolite at the lighthouse, kept us on the 24-degree course laid out by his pal McKay. Meantime, Billy waited in the reef with his theodolite sighted along the 313-degree bearing. Despite my misgivings, I found that the four of us worked well as a team.
Little port side. That's it. Right on course. Little starboard.
McKay planned it well. As we came into Billy's sight, I got the signal and dropped the marker buoy.
That's it.
It was too late now to start searching underwater, but next morning, Billy and I were ready for our first descent.
Billy, I told Betty that I was coming down here. I figured that she might worry less if she knew we were together.
Yeah, you're right, Mike. I sure apologize for the way I acted. I did get you down here, though, didn't I? I think you're gonna thank me for it, too.
I hope you're right, Billy. I can always use a little of that gold dust.
Oh, I think you're wrong about McKay. They both seem like real nice guys to me.
I could be wrong. Listen, let's talk about diving now, huh? We'll get on twice a day, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. And we'll spend 20 minutes on the bottom looking and the remainder of the time to decompress coming up. I'll get down to the bottom in the first dive. And you wait for me at the 150-foot level in case I need any help. I'm taking my spear gun. No telling what you might run into down there.
That's a good idea.
We're going in.
Good luck.
We swam down together and separated as agreed for the search. As I set off, I was still full of doubts, despite what I had told Billy. Whatever McKay's real plan was, he was still following through on this part of his agreement. While we were on the bottom, he came down the guide line to 150 feet to wait for us. I was the first to get back to McKay and report no luck. Billy was only a few seconds behind me, and his luck was no better than mine. Decompressing slowly, the three of us started back to the surface. Though McKay had been smart enough to warn that our buoy was only the center of the search area, we hadn't made any progress after 2 more dives. All of us were playing it straight. McKay and Roma doing nothing to arouse new suspicion, and I doing nothing to suggest to Billy that this wasn't the happiest of all possible treasure hunts. We continued to follow the same dive and search plan. And suddenly, there it was. A skeleton of a ship. A playground for a school of fish. It was eerie and sinister, this haunted house on the bottom of the ocean, corroding slowly to death. I swam through it to confirm that she was indeed the Santa Felicia. And then, with time running out, marked her position before starting up.
Mac! Marker buoy!
So far, everything McKay and Romer had promised had turned out true. Next question, was there a safe in the captain's cabin? And was there a bag of gold dust in the safe? The safe was there, all right, and it had been built even more sturdily than the ship itself. After decades in the bottom of the sea, it still remained firmly locked. We couldn't budget, which meant we'd have to come down again the next morning with an acetylene torch and cut it open. If ever McKay was going to make a move, this had to be the time. And it was.
What's the matter?
Hello, my regulator doesn't work. Steady floor. Must be in my high pressure block. Take a little while to fix it.
How long?
Well, depends what I run into. Might be an hour.
I don't want to wait that long. I want to get at that gold dust.
I don't want to send Billy down there alone.
Well, my gear's all right. I'll go down with him.
Oh, what do you say, Billy? Looks like you're licking. When do you want me to go down? No, I can make it all right.
It shouldn't take you long to cut through. Probably half rust anyway. I'll meet you at 150 feet.
Good enough.
Got that torch ready?
Sure.
It was a calculated risk letting Billy go down alone, but I had a rough idea of what would happen next.
I'm getting as bad as Billy. I can't wait any longer either. Keep your fingers crossed. I'm going down.
Well, all we have to do now is wait, huh?
That's right.
Any minute, Billy will be coming up from the bottom now. I fixed this regulator. Wasn't as bad as I thought it was. I'm going down.
I wouldn't do that.
Oh, why not? It's better than staying here and getting shot.
Shot?
Yeah. That's your plan, isn't it? That's why you fouled up my regulator. You wanted to split us up so that McKay could take care of Billy at the halfway mark. That is, after he collected the gold dust from him. And at the same time, you could take care of me up here on deck. Close?
Close.
Yeah, it should be. It's the same stunt that you pulled on my friend, Fred Simpson, up in Alaska. I didn't only spy on you last night, Romer. I fouled up some equipment, too. Go ahead, try it. I took out the firing pin. I tied up Romer as quickly as possible, because now I had to get down before Billy reached McKay. I was a few seconds too late. I dived for McKay. He fought like a madman, no holds barred. Everything a weapon, even the bag of gold dust. Billy grabbed the gold, and McKay lost interest in me. This was the final irony, that the rotting leather of the bag be ripped in the struggle, and grain by grain the gold dust lost forever in the sea. Most of the fight was out of him now. We took McKay topside and tied him up in the cabin with Romer. They're probably thinking of all that gold dust they spilled into the ocean.
I'll tell you, the next time I think I've got all the answers, I'll just remember this little expedition. No kidding, Mike. I don't know how I'm going to thank you enough.
Forget it. Just, listen to Betty next time, will you? Hi there. I'm Lloyd Bridges. Skin diving is certainly a lot of fun, and it's full of adventure. See some more of it again next week, huh? When there'll be another excursion into that fabulous underwater world of Sea Hunt.
My name is Mike Nelson. Although I spend the majority of my time on dry land, I make most of my living anywhere from 10 to, 200 feet underwater. Alardi alardi is a little fish of the Triacanthidae family. It's only about, 5.5 inches long, but, well, it's important enough for marine land to send me halfway around the world in search of some living specimens. Alardia lives in the deep waters of the West Indies, and from 1861 to 1925, there was only one in captivity. It was my job to secure a new supply. It was time for a break, so I stood for the surface to replenish my air supply. At that same moment, more than 1,000 miles away, a test missile was heading for the ionosphere at about 18,000 miles an hour. There seems little connection between an ICBM streaking through the sky and a little fish with a big name on the floor of the Caribbean. But the connection that developed put me in a very tight spot. A very tight spot. It was just about 26 hours later that things began to happen.
Hi. You Mike Nelson?
Yeah, that's right.
I'd like to see you for a minute.
Okay, come on aboard.
Thanks.
We know one another?
Well, my name's John Sumner. You've worked for my firm before.
Oh, yeah. A little project called World War #2.
Mike, tell me, what do you know about rockets and missiles?
Rockets, missiles. Well, only what I read in the papers, pick up here and there.
If I start talking about the nose cone of a rocket, you know what I mean?
Oh, it's the business end of the rocket, isn't it?
That's right. Well, we fired an experimental missile yesterday to test our progress in the development of a nose cone that will survive the plunge back through the Earth's atmosphere, after the rocket's spent. Well, as you probably know, the friction from such a plunge generates enough heat to disintegrate most objects before they strike the Earth. Like the meteor.
Uh-huh.
Well, we think we have a metal that will not only survive the heat, but has enough resistance to protect the internal mechanism. Keep it intact and operating. But there's only one problem.
What's that?
We have to recover the nose cone to find out. And it didn't land where it was supposed to.
Do you know where it did fall?
According to our tracking device, it landed within a few square miles of where we are right now, at the bottom of the ocean.
Oh. Yeah, but a couple of miles, that's a lot of space in the ocean.
I know. It's a tough job, but I've heard if anybody can do it, you can.
Oh, our Navy, much better equipped for that kind of a job than I am.
Well, territorial waters could be involved. See, the Navy can't go poking its nose into some other nation's backyard.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it possible that somebody around here saw it fall?
There's a possibility. And that possibility puts even more pressure on us. That nose cone mustn't fall into the wrong hands. Well, how about it, Mike? We in business?
Well, I need help. Somebody that I can trust. And, I need more equipment.
We've anticipated all the problems. You'll be on the pier tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Someone will contact you. Okay?
Okay. The next morning, I was on the pier on schedule, waiting for my contact to make himself known. Who would it be? It could be any of these people. I felt that it would be a surprise. It was.
Hello. Are you Mike Nelson?
Yeah?
You're a hard man to find. I've been looking all over for you this morning. I'm Kathy Morton.
How do you do, Miss Norton?
I've been studying photography, and I want to do some underwater pictures. I'll need some expert advice and assistance.
Well, I'm sorry, Miss Norton. I'd really love to help you, but I'm working on an assignment for Marine Land of the Pacific, and it's a full-time job.
But my work's really quite good, Mr. Nelson. As a matter of fact, I have a little picture here I'm rather proud of. Took it about 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's a nice shot, Miss Norton. Shows good technique.
I was hoping you'd feel that way.
But you know, you could have all kinds of possibilities as a photographer and still not be able to shoot good pictures underwater. It calls for a special kind of experience. Underwater.
I think I've had enough experience to get by.
How about equipment?
What would I need?
There's certain items. Listen, why don't we get on my boat, huh? I'll see what I have in hand.
Fine.
Our meeting on the pier was kind of on the cloak and dagger side, don't you think?
Well, it'll tell a lot of people that I've hired you to teach me to take underwater pictures.
You even have an underwater camera to prove it, huh?
Does look like a camera, doesn't it?
What do you mean, isn't it?
There's a pulsating device in that nose cone we're looking for. If the nose cone survives the heat, it'll send out a signal. That's actually a receiving set to pick up the signals.
Oh, what do you know? Hey, those signals from the nose cone. How far do they carry underwater?
Oh, anywhere from a few hundred yards to a quarter of a mile.
Depending on the conditions, huh?
Mm-hmm. When we get within range, it'll tick like a Geiger counter. The closer we get to the nose cone, the louder that ticking.
You sure throw me a curve, you know that?
Oh?
Yeah. I'd expect to meet a girl.
Well, I guess they thought it'd cause less suspicion that way.
Yeah, I can buy that, but what if something happens, if we get into trouble?
Don't worry about me. I'm really an expert skin diver. And I teach judo.
A few hours later, we were on our way to cover what Sumner described as a few square miles of ocean floor. A handy job in anybody's language. 5 minutes later, the search was on. The ocean floor is an erratic place. Sometimes flat, sometimes almost mountainous. Every inch of it had to be covered. And up to now, the detector remained as quiet as a tomb. In the excitement, we didn't notice an outboard motorboat riding the waves about a mile from us. There were 3 fishermen in the boat. Or were they fishermen?
They're still submerged. The woman is on the deck waiting for him. Wait a moment. Ah, yes. The man is starting to surface now.
Nothing. Nothing.
To cover the most territory in the shortest possible time, we were alternating our dives. The area kept getting wider and further from shore.
Good luck, huh?
In the meantime, I discovered that Kathy was no novice at skin diving. Then came the reward of patience and perseverance. The detective picked up a faint ticking noise, which answered a lot of questions. Kathy's instructions were to surface if she got a reaction on the detector. And Kathy knew how to obey instructions.
It's down there. I got a faint signal about 50 yards east of here.
Good, good. I'll get out and find it and tie on a marker buoy. There. Now you watch for the buoy and bring the boat over to me, huh?
All right.
The man is apparently getting ready to make another dive in the same spot. This could be what we're waiting for. Let's get within striking distance.
The detector turned out to be a honey. A few feet in the wrong direction and it pulls you right back. Finally, it led me right to the nose cone of the missile, straight as a homing pigeon. Marker buoy is a handy thing to have around in a case like this. Just tie it to some object and release it. It'll surface and permanently identify your location. I was pinned to the ocean bottom with 6,000 pounds of metal across my legs. But Kathy had no way of knowing that I was pinned solidly to the ocean floor. I wasn't even sure whether or not my legs were broken. Kathy spotted the marker buoy and brought the lock over to it. But she had no way of knowing that I was solidly pinned to the floor of the ocean with only about 10 minutes of air left in my tanks.
Now they're both submerged.
Well, now we should go then.
Yes. Keep going.
I signaled Kathy that I had about 3 minutes of air left in my tank. She signaled back that her tank was full. The 3 minutes of air in my tank would give Kathy time to get to the surface and give me more time to try and free myself. So we exchanged tanks.
There's the marker buoy. My 2 sets of bubbles. Markey, I think you better get aboard their boat in case of emergency. Take us over there.
Then I signaled Kathy to surface and bring down a crowbar. It looked like my only chance. In her anxiety to help me, Kathy didn't notice the men in the outboard motorboat.
No, lady, that's all for you. Stay where you are. I'll have to shoot. Get her!
This man found that it would take some doing to bring Kathy back to the boat when she almost broke his wrist with a crowbar.
Get that woman!
Kathy just managed to fasten the crowbar to the marker buoy line before she turned to fight off the two men. The crowbar slid down the marker buoy line and landed on the ocean floor, but just out of my reach. She put up a real good fight. But finally, with one man hanging to each arm, she was forced to give up.
Bring her here.
I knew that something must have happened to Kathy, or she would have brought the crowbar down herself and given me a hand.
Now, let's not be childish about this. You must understand we have a job to do, and we intend to do it. You have located the nose cone, have you not?
The main question seems to be, what right do these men have to drag me aboard your boat?
Mr. Nelson is down there, isn't he?
Down where?
Down there. Obviously somebody is, or there wouldn't be those bubbles.
All right, I'll tell you the truth. Mr. Nelson is down there. But he's in trouble. If you let me put on my diving gear, I can go down and help him. And if you have any questions, maybe he can answer them for you.
How deep is he?
About 120 feet.
Can you dive to that depth?
No.
Well?
I feel better with you on the surface, and Mr. Nelson unaware that we're waiting for him. I think we just sit tight for a while and see what happens.
Nelson can't stay down there indefinitely. What are you going to do about it? Well, you can't just let him die.
On land, it would have been impossible for me to move the nose cone from the awkward position that I was in. But water gives any object a certain buoyancy. And I had to get that nose cone off my legs, or else. My legs were practically numb, but there were no broken bones. Now, the big question was, what was happening on the surface? From about 40 feet, I could see the bottom of a small boat riding the surface near the mark buoy. And all of a sudden, Kathy's failure to come down and help me made sense. It was then that I remembered Sumner had said the nose cone must not fall into the wrong hands. And the thought occurred to me that if some unfriendly group was waiting for me at the surface, my air bubbles would classify me as a sitting duck. So I tied my diving lung to the marker buoy line and set the valve to allow a little leakage. Then it was up to me to make the surface in one breath. The men were so busy watching the bubble that they didn't notice me climbing aboard my boat. The best answer to this problem was my shark gun.
All right, you guys, put your hands up.
You heard what he said? Put up your hands.
You won't need those oars anymore. Throw them overboard. Kathy, how much gasoline they got?
Pretty low, Mike.
Come on aboard, Kathy.
Good job, Kathy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Keep them covered. And make a little call. X-223, the happy friend. X-223, the happy friend.
This is Happy Friend. Go ahead, X-223.
Location 13 miles west of Heston Light, outside of all territorial waters. Project X-223 in operation. 3 men in a small boat drifting out to sea will need help and investigation. Over.
Over and out.
While the outboard motorboat was slowly drifting towards the setting sun, we set out to complete our job. When we went down again to bring up the tip of the nose cone, it was a mighty comforting feeling to know that when we got to the surface, we'd find a United States destroyer waiting for us, and not 3 gentlemen who use bullets for bait.
I'm Lloyd Bridges, inviting you to join us for another act story of underwater adventure 1 week from today.